This is a Capital Politics special. The White House Correspondents' Dinner 2024. Now reporting, Chief Anchor, Ethan Vargas.
Good evening, welcome to Capital Politics Primetime special of the 2024 White House Correspondents' Dinner. In just a few moments, President Biden will speak before the Correspondents' Dinner in Washington. Now they are giving awards. NBC Nightly News anchor Nancy Holt speaking. We have the video feed courtesy of C-SPAN. Let's now listen in.
Law enforcement officers to untangle the actions and inactions that led to the deaths of 21 people, including 19 children. Creel and colleagues Lexi Churchill, Janit Zal-Hernandez, Jessica Priest, Perla Treviso, and Zach Despart contributed to the series. Juanita Ceballos wrote and directed the Frontline documentary. One of the judges said it was a standout investigation into the missteps of law enforcement during one of the most horrific school shootings in recent U.S. history. The accompanying Frontline documentary was especially strong, using officer body cam footage and recording debriefings with officers to take viewers inside the investigation of what went wrong and why those entrusted to protect children and teachers failed to act until it was too late to save some of the victims. Here to accept the award are Loem Creel, Lexi Churchill, and Zach Despart.
One award, 4 people.
Okay. And now the Katharine Graham Award for Courage and Accountability. It is, of course, named in honor of the legendary Washington Post publisher. And this year it goes to the newspaper she helmed. The judges said the Washington Post shows courage, sensitivity, and originality in breaking with journalism industry norms to inform and show readers how the AR-15 weapon inflicts horrific damage to the human body. The Post was transparent about its reporting methodology and courageous in publishing graphic images of victims of mass shootings, including children, and the after effects on survivors and families. It handled this sensitive subject well, with prominent warnings to readers that the images may be disturbing, and conversations with the families of the victims ahead of publication about the paper's methodology and intentions. The Post's executive editor, Sally Busby, also published a lengthy explanation outlining the newspaper's choices. She acted with sensitivity toward the victims and the survivors and elevated our nation's important national conversation about gun safety, gun ownership rights, and the tragic blast effects of the AR-15. The Post's decision to publish the story exemplifies the journalism, courage, and skill that Katharine Graham exhibited regularly under her leadership. Please welcome the winners of the Katharine Graham Award from the Washington Post, Nick Kirkpatrick, Sylvia Foster Frau, Todd Frankel, and Peter Walston. Let's hear it one more time for all of this year's winners. Ladies and gentlemen.
And now from Meet the Press, we take you inside the White House Correspondents' Dinner for the night by the numbers. Our own Steve Kornacki is at the big board to break it all down. Steve?
All right, Kristen, been crunching some numbers, and why don't we start with a map? Now, not an electoral map, but a map of the banquet hall. You can see right here there are 260, count them, 260 tables, each one of them set for 10 people. Some real advanced math here. That works out to 2,600 people. Now, if it feels a little cramped around you, it's for good reason. The entire venue, less than 30,000 square feet. So good luck maneuvering your way around, and leave a little extra room, if you will, for your servers. Here's a stat about that banquet staff. 25 years, a quarter of a century. That's the average experience at WHCA dinners for each banquet team member. Now, let's get to the most pressing question that I know is on your mind right now. What's on the menu? Well, let's check that out. Holy potatoes, as in 675 pounds of them. I'm told this might be a nod to a certain president's Irish root. And speaking of presidents, here's another number to keep in mind. That number is 16, as in there are 16 sitting presidents who have attended this dinner through the years, started with Calvin Coolidge back in 1923. But enough about the presidents. I want to talk about you for a minute, because by being at this dinner, you're doing something very important. You're contributing to scholarships for the next generation of journalists, 30 of them waiting in the wings tonight. And that brings me to the single most important number I can share with you this evening. That number is $3.5 million in scholarships from the WHCA and its partners, given out since the 1990s. So congratulations to the recipients. That is your dinner data.
As a White House correspondent for ABC News, her reporting can be heard on 1,650 ABC News radio stations and seen across 200 ABC News affiliate television stations and on the 24/7 streaming channel ABC News Live. Here's Karen Travers.
Good evening. Success in the news business sometimes comes from being in the right place at the right time. Catching that lucky break on a big story, that can get you noticed. But then there are those special colleagues who built their success day by day, and then year after year, with skill, dedication, and persistence. Tonight, we award the Dunnigan Payne Prize for Lifetime Career Achievement covering the White House to two deeply respected and admired veterans of our press corps, Rodney Batten and Edward Lewis. If you have watched any of the major events coming out of the White House over the past several decades, from presidential interviews to Oval Office meetings to summits all around the world, you have seen Rodney and Ed's work. They always got their shot when it counted, again and again. Rodney Batten, a White House senior photographer, will mark 50 years with NBC News next month. 50 years. Edward Lewis, White House video photographer, spent nearly 40 years behind the camera, first at C-SPAN and then at Fox News. He retired last year. Rodney and Ed are each masters of their craft, with technical skill and a feel for what makes great television news. But they also built personal relationships across different administrations that gave them the edge, getting the inside scoop that put them in the right place to capture the moment and cover the story. This prize is named for the first two African-American women of the White House press corps, Alice Dunnigan and Ethel Payne. Their toughness covering President Truman broke barriers. Their sheer determination compelled President Eisenhower to take their questions. Rodney Batten and Ed Lewis built their reputations through hard work. Their big personalities made them well-known and very well-liked across the entire White House press corps. We asked Rodney and Ed to reflect on their long, incredible careers at the White House.
I was stunned. I just couldn't believe it. And this is a great honor.
I really am honored, very flattered. I shed a few tears, too.
How many people can come in here every day and be this close to the President of the United States, the leader of the free world?
Born and raised in Washington, D.C., I spent many years riding by this building, and I would always ride by and look in and wonder if I could ever work there. And that dream came true. Being around presidents gave me a sense of pride, honor, and hard work that I put in, because the world is waiting for the video that Rodney and I shot.
Being travel pool, which we've both done, is probably the pinnacle of covering the White House, particularly abroad, because we are representing the press corps of the United States.
I had the honor of covering the night that the U.S. had the bin Laden situation. I was called in, we were just shocked to see what was going on, but we knew that there was something big and we had to get to work fast. This job requires teamwork.
I've been here a little bit longer than Ed, so a lot has changed. And a lot, I mean, to be witness to that, it's just incredible. When Obama became president, and I was sitting up behind the rack, and I lost it. This country had elected a man who was black.
When I first got that call from Kelly, we talked about the two African-American women who this award is named after. I thought about what they, just what they endured during that time, and I was very proud of that.
I like to think that I came here every day, did what was expected of me.
I really admire the change that the White House Correspondents took in making sure that people of color, other nations, ethnic groups also had access through this press environment. Because this is a center. I don't care where you go, you might think it is, but this is a center of the press in the United States. If you make it in here, you've arrived.
I am delighted to present the Dunnigan Payne Prize for Lifetime Career Achievement to Edward Lewis. Congratulations, Ed. And Rodney couldn't be here tonight. He is on a very special trip, but accepting on his behalf is his son, James.
That's earned, ladies and gentlemen. That's earned.
Once again, congratulations to Ed and Rodney, and thank you all very much.
For decades of correspondence dinners, presidents have peacefully, yet comically, jabbed their political rivals and detractors. In 2011, Barack Obama roasted a private citizen.
Donald Trump is here tonight. Obviously, we all know about your credentials and breadth of experience. For example, no, seriously, just recently, in an episode of Celebrity Apprentice, at the steakhouse, The men's cooking team did not impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. And there was a lot of blame to go around, but you, Mr. Trump, recognized that the real problem was a lack of leadership. And so ultimately you didn't blame Little John or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey. And these are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night.
What was Donald Trump thinking? Would he recover from this? Tonight, your answer.
Well, I will tell you, it is really a tremendous opportunity to be at the most failed dinner anybody's ever seen. Great to see you losers. A lot of people say that. Hello, everybody. Why is it so quiet? What's happening? It's quieter than Sleepy Joe. Hello, Joe. How are you? Great to see you. We're going to debate, right? That's what they're saying. There's a lot of stars here. There's a lot of great people. There's Scarlett Johannesburg. Scarlett is here from Black Widow. I love the blacks. I really love the blacks. It's true. You have a lot of people that could potentially be a vice president. You have Lara Trump, who's a lot better than Ronna McDonald. Who doesn't love Ronna McDonald, right? I'm loving it. You like a Happy Meal, right? You like that? But I will tell you, this dinner, you're so tight. It's so uptight, right? This dinner is sadder than Taylor Swift's new album, The Tortured President's Department, right? Look at him, the white tuxedo. He doesn't like me too much, right? But I will tell you, the Chinese apps are being banned. It's horrible. We have to post our David Peckers on Snapchat now. That's what they're saying. Let's face it, folks. I'm on fire right now like the guy outside the courthouse, right? Not soon enough. Not soon enough. But I will tell you, I am killing this dinner harder than Kristi Noem kills the puppies. Moving on, please. Even Bernie has something to say.
Mr. Trump, you have no idea what the ordinary experiences everyday Americans are. I am concerned with battling the ruthless dictators like Vladimir Putin. Can we all agree on that? Can we all agree? Even Mitch would agree with that right now. Mitch? Well, let me begin by stating what a privilege it is to be at this dinner celebrating ordinary Americans and African Americans. Scooby-Doo, let me toss it to Barack to close it out. Everybody, DC, you've been a lot of fun. And I have to close it out by saying, when I was on the campaign trail in 2008, I led a chant with the crowd, and I would say, "You fired up?" The crowd would say, "I'm ready to go." So you have a long show. Are you fired up? You fired up? I'm ready to go. Good night, guys. Back to Kelly. Thank you so much. Good night. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Talk about making an impression. You have just seen a man of more than 200 voices who can capture the essence of anyone. So please give it up for Matt Friend. Thank you, Matt. Putting this evening together is just one important part of being president of our association. I'm happy to welcome a good friend who will succeed me later this summer, and we promise a peaceful transition. Please welcome from Politico, Eugene Daniels.
Good evening, good evening. And now for the best part of the evening, the scholarship students. Don't worry, Mr. President Colin, I'm sure people are looking forward to hearing from you as well. The WHCA history spans 110 years, but we are also very focused on the future and young journalists who aspire to report on government, politics, and the White House themselves one day. In 1991, our association began this commitment to give back and, most importantly, lift up promising students. Not only financial help, but WHCA mentors make a year-long commitment to work with these students, offering advice and encouragement. And we all know what a difference that can make. None of us would be here without opportunity and support, and most importantly, again, people who are ready and willing to lift us up. We have built important partnerships to extend the reach of our giving, and our dinner is the primary fundraiser for our association and our scholarships. So thank you for your support and your checks. Thank you very much. Tonight, we congratulate 30 students from 16 colleges and universities around the country. Friday, they received a tour of the White House, received a briefing with Senior Advisor to the President, Anita Dunn, and got amazing advice from journalists who'd literally been in their shoes. I can tell you from experience, they are bright, brilliant, and ready to take all of our jobs. Let's meet them.
I believe in the First Amendment.
I believe in the First Amendment.
I believe in the First Amendment.
I'm Amaya Gavika from Boise, Idaho.
Alex Wally from Columbus, Ohio.
Trinity Webster Bass from Jacksonville, Florida.
Grace Konecki, and I'm from Hudson, Ohio.
I'm Gabe Castro-Root from San Francisco, California.
Sejal Govindarao from San Ramon, California.
Eli Boltz from Tomball, Texas.
Danielle Glenn from Mission Viejo, California.
Naja Gilani from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Clayton Vickers. I'm from Boise, Idaho.
JD Jean-Jacques from Greenwich, Connecticut.
Julianne Ventura from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Kyle Fiesik from DeRute, Georgia.
McKenna Christie, I'm from Powell, Ohio.
Petra Griffiths, I'm from Flagstaff, Arizona.
Tyra Ware from Bowie, Maryland.
Matthew Patillo from Lawrence, Kansas.
Caleb Winters, I am from Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
Catherine Mahoney from Olney, Maryland.
Megan Ward from Orlando, Florida.
Juan Pablo Lopez from Bogota, Colombia.
Marika Friedman from Silver Spring, Maryland.
Nugget Downey from Wilton, Connecticut.
Nagara Jaevi, originally from Iran, currently living in the Bay Area, California.
Ava Thompson from Chicago, Illinois.
Leah Weston from Des Moines, Iowa.
Grace Kenyon from Fort Collins, Colorado.
Tahira Sajadi from Scottsdale, Arizona.
We are the future of journalism.
We are the future of journalism.
I believe
in a strong, free press.
We are the voice of the people.
We are the voice of the people.
We are the voice of the people.
Now, part of this very special experience is that our WHCA scholars were able to meet the president, get a picture, and most importantly, they are here with us in the ballroom. Y'all stand up and wave to your future employees. They're out of the way. And when you see them tonight, give them your time, your advice, and your cards, because trust me, they will be following up. Thank you. Have a good night.
I'm a White House correspondent. Of course, I've learned to tune out these showboats.
I'm a White House audio technician. Of course I'm good boyfriend material. I'm willing to listen.
I'm a radio correspondent. Of course I can get on the air from anywhere.
I'm a White House correspondent. Of course I don't mind if the National Park Service cuts the lawn during my live shot.
I'm a White House still photographer. Of course I don't need to climb the corporate ladder. I spend my days up here already.
I'm a White House.
I'm a White House radio correspondent. Of course my office is a windowless closet in the basement.
I'm a White House audio technician. Of course I'm a professional counter testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I'm a White House correspondent. Of course I listen through the walls to know what's actually going on around here.
I'm a White House correspondent. Of course I know you're listening, Peter. Knock it off!
I'm a White House wire reporter. Of course, going on the record doesn't require an actual name. Senior U.S. officials.
I'm a White House producer. Of course I have a glass from Air Force One. Or maybe a little bit more.
We're White House correspondents. Of course we spend half our time in Scranton.
I'm a White House photojournalist. Of course we call this the lavatoria because we eat where we...
I'm a White House print reporter. Of course I'm desperate for an interview with any Biden.
I'm a White House correspondent. Of course, I ask multiple questions on multiple topics with multiple follow-ups. I'm the White House press secretary. Of course, I sidestep a few probing questions here and there with, I don't want to get ahead of the president. Tonight, I want to get ahead of the president, and I have his speech right here. And there are some great punchlines. Here's my favorite. No.
We're White House press aides. Of course we move press out of the Oval. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
I too am a White House correspondent, and of course, I appreciate the good humor of colleagues who wanted to take you behind the scenes. This is one night where we celebrate, we laugh, hopefully at ourselves. We take a breath and a beat before we get back to work. With a world on edge, a nation weary but resilient, a campaign that is not the echo of 4 years ago, however familiar the names and the issues. All of it is a heck of a story. Our White House Correspondents Association includes more than 800 journalists from all branches of the news business. We are 250 news organizations, and our members represent 39 countries, covering news that emanates from the White House and around the world. Our work at its best seeks information and accountability, not specific outcomes. In that vein, we ask questions. We often shout questions. We would welcome more opportunities to pose them in a calm and measured way. We strive for knowledge, not noise. These days, with the boundless resources of taxpayers and donors and the skill of marketing experts, any White House or campaign can create its own content. We believe that independent professional journalists on hand to document the events of a presidency are stewards of something precious, more enduring than any news cycle or trending topic. We preserve the historical record, part of the legacy of the First Amendment. Our association acts as the primary voice supporting a sprawling press corps with many separate employers. We advocate and organize for press access around all daily events, foreign and domestic trips, and then we tackle things like workspace facilities and membership activities. I am grateful to our board for all of your hard work, and a special thank you to our Executive Director, Steve Thoma, for your expertise and dedication. Thank you, Steve. My gratitude is multiplying because this week marks a career anniversary for me. 30 years with NBC News. I am very lucky. I'm very lucky. Mr. President, I think that might have been applauding age there. I don't know. I am optimistic that we can do more to demonstrate that a free press serves democracy, even when truth can be tough to discern and trust is hard to earn and maintain. Even when some of our fellow citizens tune us out, we have work to do to understand the difference between reporting and posting, to use our voices to inform and not to inflame. Those close to me know that I have been counting the days to this dinner for months. But I knew there are others in our news community who've been counting too, for very different reasons. At the Wall Street Journal, they are counting. For Moscow correspondent Evan Gerskovich, 396 days since he was jailed in Russia. The U.S. government has designated Evan as wrongfully detained. And Evan's parents and his family are with us tonight, and we are with you always. We remember Austin Tice. 4,276 days, nearly 12 years since he was kidnapped in Syria. His mother, Deborah, is with us, and Mrs. Tice, we are with you. And Mr. President, again, we humbly ask that you do everything you can to bring them home. Our profession can be perilous. Since October, about 100 journalists have been killed, most of those deaths in Gaza, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists. Around the world, more than 320 reporters imprisoned as of December, including an American with dual Russian citizenship, Alsu Kermayshev, who works for the U.S.-funded Radio Free Europe Radio Liberty. She has been jailed in Russia since October. Here at home, there are different challenges, online threats, hostility vented at reporters on the job, and anxiety is about a paycheck. Layoffs have hit our business very hard this year. For news consumers who believe that a free press is essential, demonstrate that belief with a subscription. Show that professionally gathered news is a product you value. And we owe you our best efforts and our highest standards. So I have a ritual that began years ago when I first started on the beat, that no matter what is going on, I make a point to think about this every time I walk through the gates. I remember that I am the granddaughter of Irish immigrants who came here with little and believed in a big, bright future. I recognize that any day could shift from quiet to consequential, upended by unexpected events. History could pivot that very day. So I ask myself, will I be ready? Will I be worthy? Will you? Past WHCA presidents are out in the audience tonight. I can see our press corps. Please stand up. Former board members of the WHCA, please stand. Our chief White House correspondents, please stand. Our current correspondents, reporters, producers, visual and broadcast journalists on this beat, please stand. Colleagues who have previously covered the White House, I am so proud of all of you. And join me in a tradition where we show our respect for the office we cover. On this night, a toast to the First Amendment and to the President. Mr. President. And now, I get to say words those Irish grandparents and my mom and dad never thought were possible. I'm honored to welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you think your Irish grandparents are wondering, my great-great-grandparents that get here in 1846 and went, what in the hell's going on? I want to thank you for the warm welcome, but please, not so loud. Donald was listening. Sleepy Don. I kind of like that. I may use that again. Kelly O'Donnell, President of the White House Correspondents Association, thank you for having me. Thank you, sir. But Kelly O, let's be honest, you're way too young to be president. It's been a year since I delivered this speech, and my wife Jill, who's with me tonight, was worried how I do. I told her, don't worry, just like riding a bike. She says, that's what I'm worried about. Of course, the 2024 election is in full swing. And yes, age is an issue. I'm a grown man running against a 6-year-old. Well, I feel great. I really feel great. I'm campaigning all over the country. Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina. I've always done well in the original 13 colonies. And speaking of history, did you hear what Donald just said about the major Civil War battle? Quote, Gettysburg, wow. Trump's speech was so embarrassing, the statue of Robert E. Lee surrendered again. But look, age is the only thing we have in common. My vice president actually endorses me. I had a great stretch since the State of the Union, but Donald has had a few tough days lately. You might call it stormy weather. What the hell? Trump's so desperate he started reading those Bibles he's selling. Then he got to the first commandment. You shall have no other gods before me. That's when he put it down and said, this book's not for me. Look, being here is a reminder that folks think what's going on in Congress is political theater. That's not true. If Congress were theater, they'd have thrown out Lauren Boebert a long time ago. Now, to all my friends in the press and Fox News, some of you complain that I don't take enough of your questions. No comment. Of course, the New York Times issued a statement blasting me for, quote, active and effectively avoiding independent journalists. Hey, if that's what it takes to get the New York Times to say I'm active and effective, I'm for it. It's okay. I have higher standards. I do interviews with strong, independent journalists who millions of people actually listen to, like Howard Stern. And I know you're looking around and saying, this guy's been doing this for 50 years. He's had his moment. Give him someone else a chance. To say that, I say, Lauren, ignore the critics. Ignore the critics. Lauren's a great friend who's had 8 comedians play me over the years on Saturday Night Live. 8. And who the hell says I'm not a real job creator? Look, Lauren's had even more comedians and actors joke about me, like the funny guy in Weekend Update, Michael Che. He's hilarious. Scarlett Johansson, you did such an incredible job in your State of the Union rebuttal that you should be do Weekend Update. Clearly, you're the funny one in the family. Look, folks, on a serious note, in addition to marrying up, Colin and I have another thing in common. We both find strength in family. I got to spend some time with his family yesterday in the Oval Office. Colin's dad was a high school teacher in Staten Island, and his mom is an incredible woman, a family of firefighters, was chief medical officer in New York City Fire Department on 9/11. As a doctor, she rushed to ground zero, risking her own life, treating and saving fellow first responders. Rushing into danger for others is my definition of patriotism and heroism. And so is what all of you do when you report truth over lies. That's why I want to close the night with my genuine thanks to the free press. There are some who call you the enemy of the people. That's wrong and it's dangerous. You literally risk your lives doing your job. You do. Covering everything from natural disasters to pandemics to wars and so much more. And some of your colleagues have given their lives, and many have suffered grievous injuries. Other reporters have lost their freedom. Journalism is clearly not a crime, not here, not there, not anywhere in the world. And Putin should release Evan and also immediately. Just we're doing everything we can. We're doing everything we can to bring home journalists, fellow journalists, Austin, and all Americans like Paul Whale, who wrongfully detained all around the world. And I give him orders to Biden. We're not going to give up until we get them home. All of them. All of them. On the 3rd anniversary of January 6th, I went to Valley Forge. And I said the most urgent question of our time is whether democracy is still the sacred cause of America. That is the question the American people must answer this year. And you, the free press, play a critical role in making sure the American people have the information they need to make an informed decision. A defeated former president has made no secret of his attack on our democracy. He said he wants to be a dictator on day one, and so much more. He tells supporters he is their revenge and retribution. When in God's name have you ever heard of another president say something like that? And he promised a bloodbath when he loses again. We have to take this seriously. 8 years ago, you could have written off it as just Trump talk, but no longer, not after January 6th. I'm sincerely not asking of you to take sides, but asking you to rise up to the seriousness of the moment. Move past the horse race numbers and the gotcha moments and the distractions, the sideshows that have come to dominate and sensationalize our politics. And focus on what's actually at stake. And I think in your hearts you know what's at stake. The stakes couldn't be higher. Every single one of us has a role to play, a serious role to play, in making sure democracy endures, American democracy. I have my role, but with all due respect, so do you. In the age of disinformation, credible information that people can trust is more important than ever. And that makes you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, makes you more important than ever. So tonight, I'd like to make a toast to a free press, to an informed citizenry, to an America where freedom and democracy endure. God bless America. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly, and then you'll hear from a real comedian. I think I know what I'm in for. You know, Colin Jost has taken aim at me before with his jokes.
Oh, I'm sure. You ready?
Like saying, after winning the South Carolina primary, Biden barely edged out his closest rival. Time. Colin, when I win, I'm going to have a whole hell of a lot of time. And I'm going to be watching, pal. Kelly, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you so very much for being here and for your words in support of journalists. And now we turn to Colin Jost, our headline entertainer. Colin not only brings the excitement of his own charisma and talents, but his guests are strictly A-list. In fact, I've been watching this evening as many of you have been trying to get a selfie and hoping to get close to a very special woman who is a big, big star in Colin's life. His mother, Dr. Carrie Kelly. And I know Scarlett agrees that Colin's mother is indeed a star in her own right. As the president indicated, Dr. Kelly spent nearly 4 decades with the New York City Fire Department. She became the first woman named the FDNY's chief medical officer. And her service included 9/11, as the president indicated, where she led triage efforts. So, Dr. Kelly, we thank you for your good work. And as his mother, you know, yes, Dr. Kelly and Mr. Jost, as you know, Colin shares a lot in common with many of us here tonight. We're all fans of Scarlett Johansson. So for a moment, I'm going to take you back to when Colin himself was a reporter for the esteemed publication at Regis High School, The Owl. A young Colin Jost scoop, 10 ways not to start an English paper. And in-depth reporting on faculty summer plans. Then and now, Colin Jost is at the core a talented writer. That's why I wanted him here tonight. And he is now the longest-serving anchor of Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live. Are you ready? Are you ready? It is my thrill to welcome Colin Jost.
Whew. Thank you, everyone. Hello. That was hard-hitting journalism you saw in The Owl. I didn't know you were going to show photos of me from high school. Yeah, it's not really fair. You can't do it for President Biden because the technology wasn't invented when he was in high school. It's not really fair. Good evening, everyone. I'm Colin Jost, and I'll be delivering the Republican response. I'll be honest with you, I don't have a lot of time. I need to get back to New York because I'm juror number 5 on a big trial. Trump's lawyer took one look at me and he's like, he's got to be on our side. Thank you, Kelly, for that very kind introduction. Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Vice President Harris, Doug. Doug, as you can tell from all the comments about my wife, I'm also used to being the second gentleman. And I am honored to be here hosting what is, according to swing state polls, the final White House Correspondents' Dinner. I hope that tonight will be a night to remember for most of us. I was excited to be up here on stage with President Biden tonight, mostly to see if I could figure out where Obama was pulling the strings from. I have to admit, it's not easy following President Biden. I mean, it's not always easy following what he's saying, like. But before I begin tonight, can we just acknowledge how refreshing it is to see a president of the United States at an event that doesn't begin with a bailiff saying, "All rise." And I would like to point out, it's after 10 p.m., Sleepy Joe is still awake, while Donald Trump has spent the past week falling asleep in court every morning, though Fox News said he was just being anti-woke. We are all here tonight at Nerd Prom. Well, Matt Gaetz is at regular prom, but I actually thought I saw Matt Gaetz here tonight, but it was actually just my own reflection in a spoon. Like many of you here tonight, I pretend to do news on TV. My Weekend Update co-anchor, Michael Che, was going to join me here tonight, but in solidarity with President Biden, I decided to lose all my black support. Che told me to say that, and I'm just realizing I was set up. I've done Weekend Update for a while now, but most people don't know that I started out doing the actual news. My first job out of college was as a reporter for the Staten Island Advance newspaper. They do not have a table here tonight, but they asked me to pass along this message to the other print journalists in the room. You think you're better than me? Would kill for that. So as a former aspiring journalist, I want to genuinely congratulate all the award winners here tonight. Congratulations. The Correspondents Association provides scholarships to promising young journalism students who may one day be sent off to cover dangerous geopolitical hotspots like Columbia University. Tonight, this event is being televised live on C-SPAN. Woo! Tonight, I hope they find your body soon. So many incredible news organizations here tonight. Also a few credible ones. The Washington Post is here. Washington Post. They were the ones taking your coats at the door. Please be sure to tip. Fox News is here tonight. It's the end of an era. Rupert Murdoch stepped down at Fox News, which is strange. I didn't think there was a step down from Fox News. Trump Media is here. Trump Media, not at a table, just screaming loudly in the corner to no one. Wordle is here tonight. Sorry, I meant the New York Times. I forgot they do stuff in addition to puzzles. I have to say, it's not a great sign when the only thing keeping a print media company alive are games people play on their phones. Too chilling for you guys? Room just froze faster than Mitch McConnell. And I have to say apologies to the Times, but as a Staten Islander, I still get all my news from the New York Post. Thank you. The only paper where the front page always has the same 200-point font, whether the headline is World War III to start tomorrow or